The thundering hooves of a lone rider's horse echoed across the dusty plains of Wyoming Territory as the sun began its descent behind the rugged mountains in 1879. Isaac Zane pulled back on the reins, his weathered face scanning the horizon for any sign of shelter as an approaching storm threatened to unleash its fury. That's when he spotted it, a small, crumpled figure huddled beside an overturned wagon, motionless against the growing wind. "Whoa there," Isaac called to his stallion, dismounting with practiced ease despite the ache in his bones from days in the saddle. As he approached, he realized the figure was a little girl no older than 6, her dress torn and face streaked with dirt and dried tears. "Hello there, little one," he said gently, crouching down to her level. "Are you hurt?" The girl looked up, revealing eyes red from crying. "My mama and papa won't wake up," she whispered, pointing toward the wagon. Isaac's heart sank as he investigated, finding what he'd feared: 2 bodies, victims of what appeared to be a brutal attack by outlaws. Bullet holes riddled the wagon, and the parents had clearly tried to protect their child, hiding her beneath blankets in a small compartment built into the wagon's floor. Returning to the girl, Isaac knelt again. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lily," she replied softly. "Lily Henderson." "Well, Lily, my name is Isaac Zane." He glanced at the darkening sky. "We need to find shelter before this storm hits. Do you know if there's a town nearby?" Lily shook her head, tears welling up again. As thunder rumbled in the distance, she suddenly lunged forward, wrapping her small arms around Isaac's neck. "Please don't leave me," she sobbed. "I won't leave you, Lily, I promise." Isaac awkwardly patted her back, unaccustomed to comforting children. When she pulled back, her tearful eyes met his. "Please pretend you're my daddy," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "Just until we find somewhere safe. I'm scared." Something shifted in Isaac's heart, a man who'd spent 15 years drifting, avoiding attachments since losing his wife and unborn child to fever. He gently wiped a tear from Lily's cheek. "I am now," the cowboy whispered, surprising himself with the conviction in his voice. "Let's get you somewhere safe." Isaac managed to retrieve some of Lily's belongings from the wagon, including a small rag doll she clutched tightly as he lifted her onto his horse. With heavy hearts, they left her parents' bodies, Isaac vowing to return or send someone to give them a proper burial. They rode for almost an hour, the child secure in his arms as the first raindrops began to fall. Through the growing darkness, Isaac spotted lights in the distance, the small settlement of Whispering Pines. The main street was mostly deserted as the storm approached, but the saloon and hotel remained illuminated. Isaac headed straight for the hotel, carrying a now sleeping Lily wrapped in his duster. "Need a room," he said to the older woman behind the counter, who eyed the child with curiosity. "Just you and your daughter?" she asked, her gaze lingering on Lily's dirt-streaked face. Isaac hesitated only briefly. "Yes, madam, just me and my daughter. Had some trouble on the trail. Room 4 is available, $2 for the night." She handed him a key. "There's a doctor in town if the little one needs tending." "Much obliged," Isaac replied, paying from his meager funds. Once in the room, Isaac gently laid Lily on the bed. She stirred slightly but didn't wake. He removed her shoes and covered her with a blanket before settling into a chair by the window, watching the rain and contemplating the unexpected turn his life had taken. Morning brought clarity and new challenges. Isaac knew he couldn't keep pretending to be this child's father, but he also couldn't abandon her. Over a simple breakfast in the hotel's dining room, he explained to Lily that they needed to find her relatives. "I don't have any," she said, pushing scrambled eggs around her plate. "Mama said our family is just us now." Isaac sighed. "Then we'll need to find a nice family to take care of you." Lily's fork clattered to her plate. "But you said you were my daddy now." Her voice rose, drawing attention from other diners. "Lily, Isaac began, but was interrupted by a woman approaching their table. "Excuse me," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "Is everything all right?" Isaac looked up into the most striking pair of hazel eyes he'd ever seen. The woman was perhaps in her mid-20s, with auburn hair pulled back in a practical bun, though a few stubborn tendrils had escaped to frame her face. "Just a misunderstanding," Isaac said, suddenly conscious of his 3-day beard and dusty clothes. "I'm Olivia Winters, the school teacher here," she introduced herself. "And you are Isaac Zane, and this is Lily." He deliberately avoided labeling their relationship. Olivia smiled at Lily, who was still pouting. "Hello, Lily, that's a beautiful doll you have." Lily clutched the doll tighter. "Her name is Rose. My mama made her for me." Something in the child's tone made Olivia glance questioningly at Isaac, who gave a slight shake of his head. "I'd be happy to show Lily around town while you attend to any business you might have, Mr. Zane," Olivia offered, sensing there was more to the story. Isaac hesitated but saw an opportunity to inquire about options for Lily without her hearing potentially upsetting information. "That's mighty kind of you, Miss Winters." After Olivia took Lily to see the schoolhouse, promising to introduce her to the town's only other little girl her age, Isaac sought out the town sheriff to report what had happened to Lily's parents. Sheriff Ben Miller, a graying man with kind eyes that contrasted with his intimidating build, listened carefully to Isaac's account. "We've had reports of a gang hitting travelers on the Eastern Trail. Sounds like the same bunch." He sighed heavily. "As for the girl, there's no orphanage in Whispering Pines. Nearest one's in Cheyenne, but it's overcrowded and—" He trailed off, the implication clear. Such places were often little better than prisons for children. "What about families here who might take her in?" Isaac asked. "Could ask around, but folks are struggling after last year's drought. Extra mouth to feed." The sheriff shrugged. "You planning to stay in town long?" "Just passing through, heading to Montana for ranch work." "Well, might take some time to arrange something for the girl." "Judge won't be through for another 3 weeks to make any guardianship official." Isaac's mind raced. 3 weeks was a long time to delay his journey, but what choice did he have? "I'll send some men to recover her parents' bodies," the sheriff added. "Proper burial's the least we can do." Isaac thanked him and headed back toward the hotel, his thoughts in turmoil. As he rounded the corner, he spotted Olivia and Lily in front of the general store, the little girl actually smiling as she petted a dog. Something about that smile tugged at Isaac. He hadn't planned on staying in one place, hadn't planned on responsibility. But then, he hadn't planned on finding an orphan child either. Olivia noticed him approaching and said something to Lily, who looked up, her smile broadening as she ran to him. "Mr. Isaac." "Miss Olivia showed me the school and I met Sarah, who's my age and can be my friend, and we saw this dog and he's really friendly." Despite himself, Isaac smiled at her enthusiasm. "Sounds like you've had quite a morning, little lady." Olivia approached more slowly, her expression curious. "Lily tells me you're her new daddy," she said quietly, so only Isaac could hear. Isaac shifted uncomfortably. "It's complicated. I've found most important things in life are," Olivia replied with unexpected wisdom. "Will you join us for lunch? I was going to take Lily to the cafe. They make excellent apple pie." "I shouldn't impose, it's not an imposition. Besides, I'm curious about what brings a lone cowboy and a little girl to our town." Over lunch, while Lily was distracted by the cafe owner's daughter showing her a kitten, Isaac quietly explained the situation to Olivia. Her face registered shock, then deep sympathy. "You could have left her with the sheriff," Olivia observed. "Many men would have." Isaac shrugged, uncomfortable with the implied praise. "Couldn't just abandon her." "No, I suppose you couldn't," Olivia studied him thoughtfully. "You know, I might be able to help. I have a spare room in my home, and as the school teacher, I'm considered a respectable guardian. Lily could stay with me until more permanent arrangements can be made." "You do that for a stranger." "I do it for Lily," Olivia corrected gently. "And you're not exactly strangers anymore, are you? She clearly trusts you." Isaac glanced at Lily, who was giggling as the kitten batted at her fingers. "I promised I'd keep her safe," he said quietly, "but I can't pretend to be her father forever." "Perhaps you don't need to pretend," Olivia suggested carefully. Perhaps you just need to be there for her in the ways that matter." Their conversation was interrupted by Lily's return, her eyes bright with excitement about the kitten. As they finished their meal, Isaac found himself studying Olivia when she wasn't looking. There was something compelling about the schoolteacher, a quiet strength and kindness that resonated with him. Over the next few days, a routine developed. Isaac took a temporary job helping the blacksmith, whose assistant had broken his arm falling from a horse. Lily divided her time between staying with Isaac at the hotel and visiting Olivia, who began giving her lessons to keep her mind occupied. One evening, after putting Lily to bed, Isaac stepped outside for some air and found Olivia waiting on the hotel's porch. "I thought you might like to know," she said without preamble, "that Sheriff Miller received a telegraph from Cheyenne. They've confirmed there are no records of any Henderson relatives seeking a missing child." Isaac leaned against the porch railing. "I suspected as much. What will you do?" "I don't know," he admitted. "I can't drag her to Montana with me. Ranch work is no life for a child without a mother." Olivia moved to stand beside him, their shoulders almost touching. "And what about you, Isaac Zane? What's your story?" For reasons he couldn't explain, Isaac found himself telling Olivia things he rarely shared about his wife Emma's death 8 years ago, about the child they'd never gotten to meet, about his years of drifting from job to job, never staying anywhere long enough to feel the pain of attachment again. "I'm sorry for your losses," Olivia said when he finished, her voice soft in the gathering darkness. "But perhaps finding Lily wasn't just chance. You believe in that kind of thing, fate?" "I believe that sometimes life gives us second chances if we're brave enough to take them." Their eyes met, and Isaac felt something stir within him, something he'd thought long dead. Before he could respond, Lily's voice called from the open window above. "Mr. Isaac, I had a bad dream. Duty calls," Olivia said with a gentle smile. "Good night, Isaac." As days turned into weeks, Isaac found himself increasingly torn. The judge was due to arrive soon, and he still hadn't decided what to do about Lily. Meanwhile, his feelings for Olivia grew more complicated. She was unlike any woman he'd met, educated but unpretentious, kind but not naive, beautiful but seemingly unaware of it. Lily, for her part, bloomed under their combined attention. She attended school with the other children and had made friends with Sarah, the daughter of the general store owner. But each night, she still asked Isaac to tell her stories and tuck her in, clinging to the fiction that he was her father. The situation came to a head when Isaac received a letter from the ranch in Montana, asking if he still intended to take the job. He had 1 week to decide. That evening, he sought out Olivia at her small house on the edge of town after Lily had fallen asleep at the hotel, with the hotel owner's wife agreeing to listen for her. "I don't know what to do," he confessed, pacing Olivia's parlor. "I've never stayed in one place this long since Emma died. I don't know how to be what Lily needs." "What about what you need, Isaac?" Olivia asked softly. He stopped pacing and looked at her, really looked at her. "I'm starting to think what I need might be here," the air between them charged with unspoken feelings. Olivia took a step toward him. "Lily isn't the only one who's grown attached to you." Isaac closed the distance between them, his hand gently touching her cheek. A frantic knocking at the door interrupted them. It was the hotel owner's son, out of breath from running. "Mr. Zane, come quick. There's men at the hotel asking about the girl." Isaac's blood ran cold. "What men?" "Don't know," the boy panted. "3 of them, mean-looking, said they heard about a girl whose parents were killed on the trail, said they're her uncles." Isaac and Olivia exchanged alarmed glances. "Stay here," he told her, already moving toward the door. "No," Olivia grabbed her shawl. "I'm coming with you." They hurried through the darkened streets, the boy leading the way. At the hotel, they found Sheriff Miller already there, engaged in tense conversation with 3 rough-looking men in the lobby. "Ah, here he is," the tallest of the men said as Isaac entered. "The man who's been playing daddy to my niece. Your niece." Isaac kept his voice even, though his hand instinctively moved toward the gun at his hip. That's right. I'm Jim Henderson, her pa's brother. These are my cousins. We've been searching for weeks after hearing about the attack. Something didn't add up. Sheriff Miller telegraphed about surviving relatives. No one responded. The man called Jim smiled unpleasantly. Been on the trail, haven't we? Just got word in the last town over. The sheriff looked uncertain. They do have papers, Zane. A family Bible with the Henderson name mentions of a brother. Isaac's mind raced. Could these men really be Lily's relatives? But why did they seem so predatory? Where is the girl? Jim demanded. We're taking her with us tonight. It's late, Olivia interjected. The child is sleeping. Surely this can wait until morning when she's rested and prepared. Jim's eyes narrowed as he assessed Olivia. And who might you be? Miss Winters is our school teacher, the sheriff explained. She's been helping care for the girl. Well, isn't that touching? Jim sneered. But family's family, and we'll be taking her now. As if summoned by the raised voices, Lily appeared at the top of the stairs in her nightgown, clutching her doll. Mr. Isaac? Everyone turned to look at the child. Something flashed in Jim's eyes that made Isaac's instincts scream danger. Go back to your room, Lily, Isaac called, trying to keep his voice calm. Everything's fine. Is that my uncle? Lily asked, her voice small and confused. I don't have an uncle. Jim's face darkened. Now see here, girl, wait, the sheriff interrupted, his own suspicion clearly aroused by Lily's reaction. Miss, do you recognize this man as your uncle? Lily shook her head emphatically. My papa said I don't have any uncles or aunts. He said we only have each other now. One of Jim's companions shifted nervously. Jim, maybe we should shut up, Jim hissed, then forced a smile. The child's confused, traumatized by what happened, or she's telling the truth, Isaac challenged, stepping forward. Sheriff, I don't think these men are who they claim to be. The tension in the room escalated as Jim's hand moved toward his gun. We're taking the girl. No, you're not, Isaac stated flatly, his own hand now resting on his holster. The sheriff moved between them. Nobody's drawing in my town. You men claim to be her kin, but the child doesn't know you. I think we'd best sort this out properly. He turned to his deputy who had just entered. Take these men to the jail. We'll hold them until we can verify their story. You can't do that, Jim protested. We've done nothing wrong. Consider it protective custody, the sheriff replied coolly. For your own safety. As the deputy and another hastily deputized man led the protesting trio away, Lily ran down the stairs and flung herself into Isaac's arms. Don't let them take me, she sobbed. They're bad men, I saw them. Isaac lifted her, holding her close. What do you mean you saw them? Between tears, Lily explained that she recognized the men as the same ones who had attacked their wagon. She had seen them through a crack in her hiding place, but had been too frightened to tell Isaac before. The sheriff's expression hardened. I'll get the truth out of them. If they're who I think they are, they've been terrorizing this territory for months. After the sheriff left, Olivia approached Isaac and Lily, gently stroking the child's hair. You're safe now, Lily. Isaac won't let anything happen to you. Lily lifted her tear-stained face. Promise you won't leave me. Promise you'll really be my daddy. Isaac met Olivia's eyes over Lily's head. Something unspoken passed between them, a question, an answer, a possibility. I promise, Isaac said softly, and for the first time it didn't feel like pretending. The next morning, Sheriff Miller confirmed that the men had broken under questioning. They were indeed the gang responsible for multiple attacks on travelers, including the Hendersons. They had heard about Lily's survival and the valuable items her parents had been transporting, including gold coins sewn into the lining of Lily's doll, which they had failed to find during the attack. They'll hang for what they've done, the sheriff assured Isaac. The girl's testimony won't be necessary. With the immediate danger past, Isaac still faced his decision about Montana, but something had changed. As he watched Lily chattering happily with Olivia in the schoolyard that afternoon, he realized he no longer wanted to leave. That evening, after Lily was asleep, Isaac invited Olivia for a walk under the stars. They strolled in comfortable silence until reaching the small bridge over the creek that ran behind the town. "I'm not taking the job in Montana," Isaac said finally, leaning against the bridge railing. Olivia's expression remained carefully neutral. "Because of Lily, partly," he admitted, "but not entirely." He turned to face her fully. "I've spent 8 years running from attachment, Olivia, running from the possibility of loss, but these past weeks have shown me what I've been missing." "And what's that?" she asked softly. "A home, a purpose." He took her hand in his. "Someone to share it with." Olivia's fingers tightened around his. "Isaac, are you saying I'm saying I'd like to stay in Whispering Pines? I'm saying I want to be Lily's father in truth, not just pretense. And I'm saying—" He paused, gathering courage. "I'm falling in love with you, Olivia Winters." Tears glistened in Olivia's eyes. "I was beginning to think you'd never say it." Their first kiss was gentle, a promise of things to come. When they broke apart, Olivia rested her head against his chest. "You know, being a schoolteacher and a mother to an orphaned girl isn't exactly what most men look for in a wife." Isaac chuckled, the sound rumbling under her ear. "And being a drifter with a questionable past isn't what most women look for in a husband. Yet here we are, she agreed, looking up at him. "So what happens now?" "Now," Isaac said thoughtfully, "I think I need to have a conversation with Lily. And then, if you're agreeable, perhaps a conversation with the preacher." 2 days later, Isaac sat Lily down in their hotel room and explained, as gently as he could, that he wanted to adopt her legally to become her father in the eyes of the law, not just in their hearts. "And there's something else," he added, watching her reaction carefully. "I've asked Miss Olivia to marry me." Lily's eyes widened. "Will she be my mama then? If you'd like that, yes." Lily launched herself into his arms with such force that Isaac nearly toppled off his chair. "Yes, I knew it. Sarah said you were sweet on Miss Olivia, but I told her you were just being nice because you're nice to everybody. But I hoped she was right because Miss Olivia is the prettiest and the smartest, and she makes you smile the way Papa used to smile at Mama." Isaac laughed, relieved and touched by her enthusiasm. "You're a very observant young lady. Does this mean we'll live in Miss Olivia's house? Will I still go to school? Can I still play with Sarah?" "Yes to all of those questions," Isaac assured her. "And there's more. The blacksmith has offered me a permanent position as his partner. Seems his arm isn't healing quite right, and he needs someone strong to help with the heavy work. So we're staying in Whispering Pines forever and ever. That's the plan, little one." When the judge arrived the following week, he approved Isaac's petition for adoption without hesitation, especially after hearing the sheriff's account of the events. Isaac and Olivia were married in a simple ceremony at the small church, with Lily proudly serving as flower girl. The gold coins found in Lily's doll, her parents' hidden savings, provided enough to buy a stake in the blacksmith's business, and to expand Olivia's small house to accommodate their new family. 1 year later, on a warm summer evening, Isaac sat on the porch of their home, watching as Olivia and Lily tended to the vegetable garden they had planted together. Olivia straightened, one hand resting on the small but noticeable curve of her belly, evidence of the new life that would join their family in just a few months. As if sensing his gaze, she looked up and smiled that same smile that had begun to heal his heart on their first meeting. Lily, now 7 and thriving, waved enthusiastically before returning to her important task of picking green beans. Isaac marveled at how completely his life had transformed. From a solitary drifter to a husband, father, and respected businessman in a community that had welcomed him as one of their own. All because a frightened orphan child had said, "Please pretend you're my daddy," and he, a lonely cowboy, had whispered, "I am now." Some promises, he reflected as Olivia and Lily came to join him on the porch, their hands dirty from gardening and their faces alight with love, were never meant to be pretend at all.